death battle for the soul of this nation. This Galamsey thing. I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. And we're going to deal with it comprehensively on the show today. Before that, carrying cash, well, that's so last season. The new way of doing things is to pay with your card from ABSA. They have the vertical card, which you only have to tap on the point of sale machine with to make your payment. It's contactless, which means you are safer in this COVID-19 period. Plus, you get up to 40% discount when you pay with your card at an ABSA partner. So get the card assist from ABSA and get things done. That is Africanacity. That is ABSA. ABSA is the official banking partner of the Premier League. Go to absa.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. And please follow all COVID-19 protocols this festive season. Now, Kingdom Books and Stationery understands how important temperature guns are now to all of us. Okay, you need them everywhere, in schools, in workplaces. So the best ones are at Kingdom Books and Stationery. They come with automatic data hold, auto power off, a backlight LCD display, and you can set alarm values with it. Okay, you want to buy in bulk, call them on 050 140 1050. Or just go to any of their shops across the country or their head office, which is at the Osu Akweje Junction. Now, as always, MTN wants you to experience the safest and most secure way of enjoying MTN Momo, and that is why from the 2nd of April until from the 2nd of April 2021, you will be required to present a valid national ID card anytime you visit a Momo agent point to perform a transaction. Please note that this is to help you to receive cash and handle your transactions in a safe and secure manner. That is why we are good together. Just Momo it everywhere you go. In the studio, Ken Ashigbe, Winston Amwa, and joining us via Zoom, Reporter 1, Erastus Asare Dogko. Erastus, always a pleasure to see you. I see you wandering around the Love FM building there, going about your day, and still making time to speak to us. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Kojo.
Now, Erastus, yes, obviously we have been served with an injunction asking us to not talk about a certain company and what that certain company is doing. But while you were going about your lawful duties with law enforcement agents in attendance, you and your colleagues were attacked by military, those who are designated to protect us. Tell us about that moment and how, in spite of the presence of law enforcement, you still ended up being assaulted and your property being damaged.
Kojo, that is very true. And let me say that the military themselves, what they did was to force us to delete all our files from the camera. They also forced us to delete, they deleted themselves.
Right, I think we might have to purify our connection there with Erastus. A bit of technical difficulty, probably the signal. Erastus, can you hear me? No,
They themselves, once the battery and the assault, it was done by the heavily built men who came to the site and under the watch of the military. So they surrounded us with their guns.
Okay, let's try and re-establish our connection with Erastus so we can hear him clearer. I'm definitely interested in that story, and of course the general situation of Galamsey in the Ashanti region, where I mean, over the years we've discovered what a hotbed that region is. But you know, when we approach this as a technical exercise, you know, just looking at the problem of it, what the push and pull factors, the demand and supply for gold, and the fact that in these communities, people often don't see the alternative way of making a living. As a nation, should we actually be deploying some one-size-fits-all solution? Or should we get a little bit more nuanced? Should we be applying a bit more local knowledge? Should we be asking specific questions of specific people? If we go to the western region, should we have a different conversation from what we'll have in the Ashanti region? Should we be asking specific officers? So you're in charge of lands in your area. What have you done about Galamsey? I mean, should there be a bit more nuance, or are we still simply awaiting one big national operation to solve the problem? Ken.
Well, thank you very much, Kojo. And before we go discussing Galamsey, you know me and my position about the attack on journalists. You know, journalism is not a crime. And so I think it is very, very important that, as Erastus said, it was not the military that beat them, but the military did something that is illegal by deleting the content. And the content was not just the content of what was there, but every content that a journalist has done. Forcing and deleting that definitely was wrong. And I'm hoping that the military high command in their investigation would ensure that everybody who was there who participated in that would be brought to book. Then for the military, and you know the military is a very disciplined group, for them to have been there and then other people, and we want to know who are the people who you know, operating with the military, then get into the act of beating journalists, vandalizing. It's a crime as well. And we would hope that the military high command would do something about it. But it's the IGP's responsibility, because his men were also there as witnesses to the crime that was committed. So this will not be like the Latif case where they say they don't know. These people either are, you know, did they lure us into the space? If not, they definitely are witnesses to it, and we should be able to bring these people to book. We are not in a banana republic, and so, you know, the law should be seen to be working. And so that's the first thing I would want to say. And, you know, definitely, it's one of the things I'll ask multimedia for us to do. We should petition the NMC, and we should see the NMC acting on it. We should be petition the IGP to take the criminal side. We also should be bringing civil, you know, action against everybody who is involved in this, so that we can deal with that. So now let's come to the.
If you don't mind, we will come to that next. But I think we have re-established contact with Erastus, so we can get the detail of the story, and then. So Erastus, if you can hear me, we lost you earlier, but you were in the process of explaining to us, and you clarified, thankfully, that it was the heavily built men who destroyed your property and assaulted you. But they did this while the military and the police looked on. Tell us about this strange scenario where you went in with law enforcement, encountered military, and yet a third party was still able to come in there and assault the media.
So, Kojo, this is the second time we are meeting this battalion, and under the W, who is their commander. When we went to Kobro Forest, within the Pamprama Forest Reserve, that was last week, we met this same W who was commanding a battalion in the bush there, protecting miners in there. So I was surprised that we came to Manso, another forest, and we found this same group, commanded by this same W, you know, in the bush there. And it's not like I've heard in some quarters that there was a platoon stationed somewhere in Tuntukrum. They were residents there, and you could see the videos, the uniforms. They had their accoutrements there, their rifles there. They had their beds, their clothing, and other things. Telling you they were lodging there. The other residents who were there with them told us some of them have been there for 3 weeks, and some of them have been there for a month, and all that. So when we entered this particular side, they wanted to search every room under the watch of our cameras. So they started searching. Then a young military man came in, drove a Tundra into the compound, and then inquired what we were doing there. So the policeman in charge identified himself, told him of the team, and then he called his superiors. Within a matter of 30 minutes,
the whole place was crawling with over 30 armed military men. And that's where the whole thing started. And so they wanted to seize the keys to our vehicle because they said they were not allowing anybody to leave the site. So it was at that point where they punched my driver. That was one of the heavily built men. There were two groups. Those who were heavily built, about 10 of them, they came with the military. And so they
arrived
were the
with
ones
the
who were
military.
doing the vandalism.
Okay, so to clarify, the heavily built men arrived with the military. They were together.
Yes.
You know, when
they were
arrived.
together, and they came in pickups. And so
Right.
this pickup will come, and you see some of the heavily built men in the pickup together with the military men, and then they will get down. Another pickup will come. So more pickups were coming in with reinforcement, soldiers, heavily built men, and then finally the last person to come in was the owner of the site.
I see. Right. So the assault was actually done by the heavily built men, but who deleted your files?
That was done by the military men themselves.
What reason did they give for that? And I mean, under what law did they do this?
Well, one of them said, and if I quote him directly, he said, "Nothing of what is happening here is leaving this forest."
Right.
That's what he told me. That nothing of what is happening here is leaving this forest. And so I told him that what he's doing is illegal. And I even told the owner of the site that they can't do that, especially when you formatted our card and then you seized our phones and you want to delete our personal stuff on the phone. I said it cannot be done. They said yes, it can be done. So they deleted everything, and still they were not satisfied. They said they think we've hidden another memory card, so they want to search the vehicle. So it was at that point where the man in charge of our task force got angry and said, "Well, we will not allow you to search the vehicle. If you want to kill us, kill us." And he asked us to get on board the vehicle. Let's go. But they had parked other vehicles in front of us, preventing us from leaving through the only way to the forest. And so it took a lot of calls. I called the environment minister. He gave me a number to the military high command. Somebody called me from there, and they also started making calls. It was after 2 hours that they finally gave us our keys, and they asked us to go. Then one of the heavily built men came to stand on the side of the vehicle and told my driver that, "Don't come here again, okay? Remember Habib." And then he used the back of his gun. They were holding guns to hit the side mirror and broke it. That was the final straw.
Wow. So let me ask you this. While all of this was going on, while they were, damaging your property and deleting your files and attacking your driver and all of that business, the police, the task force, the only people who had legal jurisdiction where you were, were just looking on?
In fact, they were outnumbered. And they were told to stand down.
Interesting.
All the Chinese they had arrested were quickly released by the military men. And then they asked that everything that has been seized from the site should be returned immediately. And so they started taking inventory of all the things they seized from the site under the watch of our cameras, and they brought them one by one. And they asked the Chinese to also mention if anything at all is missing. They demanded that we return all those things before we can leave the site.
Have the police, to your knowledge, have the Ashanti Regional Police gone back to rearrest these people, with reinforcements?
None of that I'm aware of. And what I'm learning from the site was that a day after our report came in, a number, about 35 low loaders were seen crossing into that part of the forest, bringing out excavators and things that belong to the site. The Chinese were also seen leaving the forest.
Fascinating. Well, okay, so that this is the narrative of how Erastus and his team got attacked. Now, Winston, I mean, look, on the broader plane, we've certainly been talking about, attacks on the media and speaking against them. And before we settle into this thing about Galamsey, look, this thing that has been described, it demonstrates that the police, in certain circumstances, are ineffective in this fight. How do we restore as a state? How do we restore control over our natural resources when this can happen?
Well, could you also, my concern is the fact that we had military persons protecting the site. Well, that's something that does happen sometimes. But you would ask yourself that if military personnel are going to protect a site, they should know whether or not the site is a legal site. You just don't get in and say, we're going to offer protection. From the feature that Erastus did, it's obvious that they have a prospecting license, so they're not supposed to be mining as they were doing. So you ask yourself, why would the military want to do that? The challenge with the police under the circumstances is that, and Erastus makes the point, they were outnumbered. And so once they were outnumbered, and eventually it had to take one of them to insist on, look, we are going. And for me, that's important. Once they were outnumbered by the military and the well-built men, it was always going to be very difficult for the police to actually, continue with that. If they had to engage in it, it would have resulted in, gunshots. Some of them may have lost their lives, but it certainly looked like a battle they were not going to win. And so what they did, for me, was to ensure that the journalists were protected. They can tell the story, and it is the reason why we're having this conversation. Others are having the conversation. Over the period, I've seen lots of people sending me the videos that we showed ourselves and asking us, you have to talk about it. I said, we're talking about it. So under the circumstances, it looked like one of the best things to have done was to ensure the safety of the journalists so they can tell the story, and that has triggered a national conversation.
Yes, I mean, and I suppose we have to give credit to the fact that one of them intervened at the point
Exactly.
where, yes, although by then, of course, a lot had already been done, which is why I'm asking about how effective the police can be long term, in situations like this.
No, I think, Kojo, definitely in that situation, the police took the right decision. Because, you see, bear in mind, you are deep in the forest, and, you are cut off from everybody else. These people, you had been outnumbered, even in a war situation.
Yeah.
When you are outnumbered by your enemy, one of the things you do is to surrender, to be able to do a tactical retreat, to be able to come back again and to fight. So I think the police did the right thing in the situation. And so the only question you want to ask is that after that, and that for me, with all the things that happen in terms of beating even journalists, it's a crime scene.
Yeah.
So what have the police done to be able to protect that crime scene so that they can do the necessary investigations and all of that? But I think that we also, as media people who advocate for the media, what we do from here is the most important thing, to say that anytime a journalist is beating, we are not going to relent till we make sure that there's a solution to it. So what I call to all of you journalists is that now when any journalist is beaten, that story should not be treated as a story from a particular media house. It should be shared for everybody to be able to cover it. And then we should keep on asking questions. So multimedia should by now be also working at making sure that the petitions go, the letters go, the questions go, and constantly be asking. And when you ask that question, let's put it out. So all media would be out there putting it out. Fortunately, we've got groups of lawyers. Samson is involved. Opokweje, now who are beginning, to support our cause and be able to say that, like a typical example, Pius's case that is in court. There's a friend of mine, Julius Opokweje, who now goes to court anytime the case is called. It's a criminal case, so he has watching brief so that the prosecutor, everybody knows that we are there. That's the whole attitude that we all need to have towards this thing about the beating of journalists by everybody and anybody. That has to stop. And this one, in this particular case, we are going to follow through so we ensure that we exact the maximum sanction for everybody who did that. So those of you who are involved in beating journalists when this thing happened, know that the only thing you can do is to touch the body of one person like me, but definitely all of us are going to come after you, and we would make sure that the right thing is done. We are not just going to use the, our Ghana court. One of the things we are going to do, and a typical one, is Latif's case, where we've been pushing it and we are not getting any solution. We are going to go to the West African court, because it's been demonstrated that Yahya Jammeh in Gambia was sued. The Gambia was sued in the West African court, and they won.
Absolutely.
So we definitely are going to do that. So if the people who have to take action in this country, you decide that you are not going to do that, you are subject to the West African court. So we definitely are going to use other means to ensure that we get to a point where the journalist is protected, because we should realize that the rights of journalists is all of us are rights, because currently you might be in a particular situation. It is not permanent. It will change. And then when they come after you, the place we all go to is the fourth estate of the realm.
Absolutely.
So I urge all media organizations and all civil society organizations, all lawyers who have Ghana at heart, that we need to support this particular crusade to say enough is enough.
Absolutely. And look, there's a call for journalists to unite behind these cases. And I here at Multimedia, that is our policy. We don't care which media house you come from. A journalist is a journalist. You're serving your nation, and you have a right to do your job without being attacked. As Ken says, journalism is not a crime. So we are interested in every case of an attack on a journalist, or of an abuse of a journalist, of an assault on a journalist. We are interested. It's not just those from our stable, but every journalist ought to benefit from the unity of the fraternity of the press. And so, for example, the Finder newspaper journalist who was arrested by a police officer who was even suspected to have been drunk at the time. The assault, or what appeared to be an assault on Umaru Sanda of City FM. We're interested in all of these, and we will pursue them, ask the questions, and ensure that things are dealt with. Let's very quickly get a clearer picture of Galamsey across the country before we settle for our discussion on solutions and the way forward. Kofi Siao is our Eastern Regional correspondent, and Eastern Region has not been spared the Galamsey curse. Kofi Siao, tell us generally, and with as many specifics as you can actually, in your region, what's the situation with Galamsey? Better or worse than when we started the fight?
Okay, Kojo, I can't say that it is happening, but if you have political connection, you are allowed to take part in these illegal activities. Let me give you an example. Recently, there was a protest in a town called Achim Tampoy in the Tiwa district. The residents of the place were protesting against the national women organizer of the NPP, Kate Jemfua. What they say is that this woman came there to convince them to allow them embark on a community mining program there. But their text, according to them, was that the Mineral Commission has not designated any land or concession in the Eastern Region for community mining. They also accused her of bribing the chief of the area an amount of 4,000 cedis so that he could allow her and his team to embark on these activities. But she denied that when I spoke with her. So these are some of the allegations going on in there. So the youth of the town protested, and they said they were not going to allow anything unless it is a concession or a company that has been given the concession to mine in that area. Let's go to a place called Asamantamboy. There were some gun attacks recently on the residents. The residents, according to them, had protested the activities of illegal miners in the area. And in so doing, the miners also had issues with their protest, and they brought in some gunmen, according to the residents, to attack them. So, Kojo, if I should tell you some of the things that has been happening in my region, I can say that it is not only about claiming lands or lands that we all know has been designated for mining, but they also attack forest reserves. I can tell you that the Etiwa forest, for instance, has been attacked on several occasions. People have been arrested by the guards of the Forestry Service Department. They were sent to court, and some were jailed. Some were also released when they were to court.
Well, that paints a sordid picture. Tell us about the police and their efforts there. I mean, are there lots of records of arrests? Do the police even do they take action when they receive reports of galamsey occurring in the communities?
I gave you the example of the Asaman Tampoy issue. The residents, I spoke with them this morning, confirmed that some people came to the concession to, carry out the activities. The Operation Vanguard team chased them out. They reported the case to the Kebbi Divisional Police Command, and they are yet to receive any reports or any direction from the police's end. So that is the situation. At Asaman Tampoy too, the residents also mentioned some names to the police. The police, rather, in a surprising situation, went ahead and rather arrested those who reported the case to the police. So that was part of the reasons why they held the press conference, to protest on that day.
I see. Well, thanks for that. Thanks very much. Kofi Sian, of course, reporting for us in the eastern region. Let's go to the upper west region. Rafiq Salam has also been pursuing stories of galamsey. Rafiq, are we moving forward or backwards?
I will tell you that the situation in the upper west region is seen here. There are some deposits of gold in some districts in the upper west region, notable the Juruba municipality, the Wa East, and also the Nadolikelu district. And then we have Azuma Resources Limited. They are claiming that first they had a prospecting license, and then later they were able to have a mining lease for some of these sites. And so I can report to you that at Donyokra and Du in the Wa East district of the Upper West region, we have military men who are protecting this company called Azuma Resources Limited. It's also same at Charpong, where they are saying that they are also having a concession. So I can report to you that military men, heavily armed, are protecting these concessions in the Upper West region.
Right. And are these legal concessions?
One thing that we are not sure, because the last time we went around the area, Azuma Resources Limited were able to show us their prospecting license, and they told us that they were on the brink of acquiring mining and lease for some of these concessions. But my investigations I have not been able to verify that some of the mining leases that they acquired, some of them have expired, but they are still mining gold in some of these enclaves. And the one thing also which is the people are really express worry about is around the Charpong area, where the people they are now claiming that Azuma Resources are no more mining gold, but now they are now prospecting for diamond in the area. And so that it's always a banter, a beef between the community or some of these illegal miners. It has always even been a tango between the police and then also the military here.
Does this affect any water bodies?
Yes, it affects water bodies. You know, some of these concessions, especially the Cherpong area, are lying around the Black Volta. You know, the Black Volta from Kokolugu area up to about the West area, we have about 100 out of our Solar Tuna Calabar district, we have about 183 communities that are lying on the Black Volta. And so these miners, especially illegal miners, what they usually do is that they'll take these deposits of gold, take them to water for them at least to somehow to be able to sieve it and then refine it very well for use. And so Galamsey or whatever activities are really happening here, but the fact of the matter is that they are small resources limited. They have taken charge, and they are the ones holding on to it.
Right. Thank you, Rafiq Salam from the Upper West region. Let's go to Savannah region, a little further south. Isaac Nunya reports for us from there. Isaac, give us an update on Galamsey.
Yeah, Kojo, when you zoom Upper West and Savannah region together, we can describe Savannah region as the top of Galamsey.
I think there's a bit of wind blowing into your handset. I don't know if you can shield it with your hand so that the wind sound is blocked out.
Sure, I'm positioning myself again.
Wonderful.
Is it better?
Much better. Thank you, Isaac.
Good. I was trying to paint a picture about the rampant nature of Galamsey in Savannah region, in the sense that if you zoom two districts, Bole and that of Solatuna Kalba, together, you realize that they are doing more than what if the entire Upper West is doing something like that, to the detriment of the environment. You also look at West Gonja district, which capital is Damago. They were equally engaged in those things to the extent that an area was named after the Galamsey, called the Galamsey Junction, very popular in Damago. Now, then look at Bole. There's a community called Kui. Kui, the environment of Kui contains inhabitants more than those in the Bole township. We have natives from Cote d'Ivoire and Togo, and so you can talk about Nigeria, who are there mining these natural resources. And we have a good number of traditional rulers who also benefit from these things that the Galamsey people do, to the extent that they have some searches, the details at the various Galamsey spots in the district. Now, with Kui, because of the attitude of Galamsey, we have business authorities who come there, and these things also attract armed robbery and what have you. You remember some 6-7 years ago, under the autonomous regime, where a military man was shot dead, and a DC and one other escaped unhurt.
Yeah.
That was the route leading to Kui, a popular Galamsey spot in the district. Another area called Waka Waka. Waka Waka is within Bole and then Solatuna Kalba district. Now, this other area, people also do a lot of Galamsey there, mostly the youth. And you can think about many of the social vices that go on in some of this area. And another place called, it's within the Bole district. We have Kui, we have Waka Waka, we have another major community when you are going from Bole to Bamboy. With that one, just by the roadside, you see how they have built some huts within the area. And these people, as we speak now, they are still engaged in Galamsey. They will go deep down the forest, do it, and bring it back to the township to wash. There's a saying that, Galamsey, they are banned. But at Kui, we still have people doing Galamsey. It's like something that when it's totally banned, the inhabitants, including opinion leaders and traditional rulers around the area, will all lose.
Wow. Isaac Nunya, thank you very much. Isaac there reporting from the Savannah region, where there's actually a junction called Galamsey Junction. Imagine the shamelessness. Think about it. Would we call some place Rip Junction? Anyway, Ken.
Yes. Well, so you see the stories that we're getting, and I think for the president to have called for a discussion tells you that what the fight that we embarked upon sometime April 2017 was a war. We won some of the battles, but if you look at it in totality, we lost. Exactly. And at this stage, we are in retreat. So it's important that we quickly regroup, and then we can then come back again at it. And I'm happy to have heard you say that as journalists, this is not one of the battles that we are going to leave, because for the people, and the Galamsey entrepreneurs, that's exactly what they want. They don't want us to be together. They would come after you. I remember there was a gentleman who was on Facebook calling himself a bishop. He said he has heard from some sources that every Galamsey pit they give me,
Every Galamsey
pit they give me a cut from, so for the media you should definitely realize that once you decide to fight this, they would come at you in different forms and different ways. But we have to, it's an existential fight, as you rightly put, and we all need to put our shoulders to the wheel and know that by the fruits of what we have today, we definitely are losing this battle, and the implications for us are very dire. I was just looking back into the records, and now you look at it. I think if you want to find out how we've done, take the interministerial committee's roadmap report and just do a good look at it. It's one of the reports that I'm hoping that we can work together, with multimedia and just do an analysis. The things that were in that report, great report. Though there was a better document. The better document was the MMIP document. That document should have been launched by the president in February 2018. But something happened, and it's one of the challenges that resulted in this battle where we are today, because there was some politics between the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Ministry of Environment, especially when Honorable Frimpong Boateng was then made the chairperson of the Interministerial Committee. So the MMIP never was launched by the president, and then we went for the Interministerial Committee, which, even the fact that if we say that the MMIP was better, even if you look at the Interministerial Committee, the things that they set out to do, if they had done all of them, and if, we will not be where we are today. Because the question you ask yourself, the issues of miners, mining companies who are mining with prospecting licenses, is one of the issues that they mentioned very clearly that, was our lot, and we're going to deal with it. The issues of registration of earth-moving equipment and tracking them. Because if somebody was tracking these equipment, then we would know that all of these excavators who are seen in other places, we would be able to keep track of them. There are supposed to be drones that are and then providing information. If all of that was going on, then there also was supposed to be a lot more transparency, so that when concessions are given, you then know where the concessions have been given. All the concessions, you are supposed to have GPS, Ghana Post GPS, addresses to them, so that when somebody comes to you and he says he has a concession, there was a case in which somebody, they were being given a concession, and they actually were going to mine the chief's palace. Because you see, when you look at the document, you are not able to tell where exactly it is, because you're not a surveyor. So that's why when they brought the solution that they were going to put Ghana Post GPS, then it's easy. With your phone, you'll be able to determine where this is supposed to be. So all of that was supposed to be done. And then the whole issue of the community mining, which for me, when you ask the question about whether our solution to this problem should be nuanced, I think that is where it starts from. The solution should be that it should be a local-based one. What are the concerns of the people who are on the ground? we definitely need to separate. You see, and that's a good thing about the document as well. It separated the illegality that was happening based on small scale mining, and then the illegality that was being perpetuated by almost large scale miners as well. People who were using, bulk sampling, who were using their prospecting licenses to be able to mine. Some of the people who also, in that's the interesting part of it. They were given permits to go and reclaim forests that have been degraded, and they themselves actually went in there and had started, to do the illegal mining. And there were all of them had plans that had to be solved. But the challenge, you say, is that when you have a problem like that, if you deal with it at the local level and make sure that you know what the problems are, especially when it comes to the small scale mining, which is the preserve of Ghanaians, that how do you ensure that the local people are taken care of. And I think the community mining concept was a good one. But the interesting thing, and apart from the few pages that you see in the roadmap, there's no policy document on it. I remember we had a program with Evans Mensah on Multi TV. And that was the challenge. But the answer that was given was that they were going to do a pilot. So you're hoping that if they do a pilot, the first, second one, they would have done a monitoring and evaluation and be able to come with a way and then a policy document of how it's going to be done. You remember your Eastern Region reporter talked about a lady who said, they claim that they wanted to do community mining. Community mining, for me, my proposal, community mining should be owned by the community. It should not be some powerful or influential person somewhere who then owns it. The community should own it. Yes, they might not have all the money. So you bring capital you bring the capital, you have a stake in what it is. The community, the landowners also have a stake. The community, by the virtue of the fact that they are there, should also have a stake. They should be employed. The local people should be employed, and they are paid a salary. Government should bring in the technical know-how to do the prospecting, and ensure that the mining is done sustainably, so that should also be paid for. You need to ensure that the government gets its taxes out of that. Part of the revenues that would accrue should go into a reclamation. Part of it should provide social amenities and infrastructure. That should be the solution, so that the communities begin to see that this community mining would inure to our benefit. Because definitely you can't have people in areas where there's gold, there's diamond, and you say they should go and do masonry, they should go and do farming. It won't happen. But if they have to do it, they have to do it well, so that the problem is the very influential people who are involved in it. And I think Samson nailed it rightly. When it comes to this thing, the political class are the elephant in the room. It is the constituency leadership, the regional leadership. Immediately their parties come into power, then they take over the area and they engage in the illegality. So you remember that when the president said he was putting his career at stake, you got some of these, blackmailers, political entrepreneurs come up and say we're going to vote against them. And when we started this campaign, we saw it on the ground, that you saw the NDC local leadership in some of these communities then using the fight that the MPP were waging against them. Then you also saw the MPP, the new MPP leadership. You saw the NDC also tell you that, this now constituency chairman and thing are the people who have taken over the illegality. And that continued. And then even at very high levels, you have people who are well connected, who are engaged in this, and they are not touched. You see, so that has been our problem. Look at the challenges we've also had with even when people are arrested. In terms of prosecution, what has been the record? I was looking back again at it, and I saw one of the Operation Vanguard reports. They were talking about conviction levels of 1.3% from January to July 2019. If you take the general one, convictions were less than, in the regions of 10%. So people are arrested. What happens? Nothing really happens to them. Then you get the government then goes and amends the Minerals and Mining Act in 2019 and increases the sanction. But that's good. But then in another breath, Aisha Wang is arrested and prosecution is going on, and then we file a nolle prosequi. And the reasons we get for it, so it's not as if we really want to fight this. That is why, for me, once the president says we should have a discussion, it is important that we have the discussion. But in having that discussion, we need to go back and look at what went wrong. People who have done wrong, we need to investigate it and ensure that those people are punished for what it is that they have done. We need to learn lessons for things that we did wrong. And I think one of them was the fact that to solve this problem, which is very technical, we then, instead of putting technocrats, we brought political partisan people into really to be able to solve them. Be it the interministerial committee that outlived its usefulness, should have been disbanded earlier on. You also had a situation where you had people who did not have any technical knowledge as the people who are leading the management of excavators, leading, the secretariat of the interministerial committee. Whilst you had institutions like the EPA, you have the Minerals Commission, technocrats who can do this.
Yeah.
You also had a better document. The MMIP, as I was saying, it was a document that had a lot of stakeholder consultation that we could have pushed forward. So it was a 5-year integrated project document that were going to be implemented. We need to go back to that. And for me, if I were to get the ear of the president, one of the things I would say to him that anybody who's been involved in this fight from 2017 to date, because of where we are, definitely should come nowhere near the issues of mining. All of those people should be sidelined. We should bring fresh people into the ministries, the various agencies, and ensure that technocrats deal with this. It is not for nothing that the people of Ghana, in voting for parliament, have decided that it's 137, 137, 1. It is asking them that we all need to come together. So in bringing the teams together, we need to get people from both parties. At least both parties have also shown us that when they have pretended, they have failed to resolve these issues. But they all have ideas. At least they will be able to tell us where we failed. So they should come into it. But they should invite other ideas into it. Bring a lot more technocrats. Make sure we bring in, academia, into this whole conversation. Bring in civil society. It's interesting to note that when you look at the roadmap that was drawn, there was no communication plan, as part of it. The media have been critical in this particular fight. And I think it was Winston that mentioned it. We need to win the heart and soul of the Ghanaians, because attitudes have to change. People need to realize the fact that as we sit, we are getting to a point where we have to import water, and it has to be. It's in the very near future if we don't change. So you need to get people to realize the fact that what we are doing is worse than what Esau did. Selling his birthright for broth.
Yeah.
That's what we are eating. We are roasting and chewing our tongues, thinking that there's some meat that we've got. So we all need to come to that realization and then sit together. Bring all stakeholders together and be able to resolve it. We need to bleed with our partisan people. We need to take politics out of it. If we take the influence of politics from both sides out of it, we will be able to resolve this problem. We need to put Ghana first in this particular discussion, because we also saw it. Getting close to the elections, we saw other parties go in there and tell people involved in illegalities. And we saw videos of it.
Yeah.
And telling them that they will allow them to go back.
Yes.
Back to the illegality once they come into power. That cannot be the solution.
In their manifestos, didn't they?
That cannot be the solution to this problem.
Right.
It is definitely going to be a painful surgery, but it is required to save the life of that child called Ghana.
Winston, I wonder, the media, I mean, we may be determined, but are we actually taking the right approach? Are we asking the right questions? Earlier, I was talking about, localizing our solutions. But, everywhere you go, every place where there's Galamsey, the Lands Commission has an office there. There's somebody in charge.
Before you continue, bear in mind that the media is not even absolved of all, guilt, because it was said that there was one journalist, a reporter for one of the media houses, who was part of the conduit where bribes were being passed. So when we talk about leadership failure, even the media were part of us who were part of the wolves as well in this. So so that when Winston answers it, we are not seen as if we are pointing fingers at other people.
Yeah. But at least for those of us who are determined to do something, are we doing the right thing? Are we asking the right people the right questions? Bearing in mind this example I was giving, Lands Commission has offices everywhere. There's an officer there who's being paid a salary. I haven't seen an interview with a local journalist or even one at the national level like us going to someone in for example the Western region or the Ashanti region, Lands Commission there, and saying the lands in your area are being used for galamsey. What have you done about it?
Good, but I think it was in the Eastern region that then Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Mbe, saw some officers of the Minerals Inspectorate Division conniving with miners to do this. And I brought this up just to let you understand the situation we find ourselves in. One of the things that say the media could have done better is that when we started, all of us got together, but at a point we went to sleep and made it more of as and when interview. So there's a policy and there's a press conference that is organized, and then you come in and say, the then executive secretary to the interministerial committee against illegal mining, they would organize a press conference and then he goes around to address these issues. But you did not have that campaign as it started. It became this whole Red Friday, and we're pushing it. All of us pushed it. Everybody, I mean, if you were a media house in Ghana that mattered and you didn't talk about galamsey at the time, nobody would listen to you because the people wanted to talk about it. But having said that also, I think one other area, in asking the right questions, we've been talking about ownership, and I'll focus on ownership. Look, every program you start, there must be ownership, and there must be a buy-in. The people must appreciate what you're about to do. I think one of the failures of this war was ownership. It was detached from the very people who were supposed to help it work, and I'll explain why. When we established the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, head office in Accra, we would go to the districts sometimes without even the knowledge. There was an explanation. The explanation is because of connivance, you wouldn't inform operatives in the districts. But then you ask yourself the big question, did the people understand, those who were being used by these people, did they understand the losses the state was incurring by virtue of their actions? The reason why we talk about participatory democracy and the reason why we talk about always consulting with the people is that when people give you ideas on how to solve a problem, there is nothing like a one-size-fits-all. We cannot think that, look, because there is galamsey, it is the end of it, it will be the same thing. I'll give you a typical example. I was doing a documentary for the Shama district in 2012, February. Now, while there, I saw some men. They looked like foreigners because they were men with curly hairs, something that is not unique to us, something that we don't have in this country. So when we saw them, I quickly drew the attention of the district information officer. And he said, "Who's this?" He quickly stopped. Now, that's on the River Pra, at Beposo. There's a police post there. We went to the police post and said, "Have you seen these people engaged in, who are mining on the Pra, just close to the police post?" It was then the police started moving. Watch this. When we arrested them, and I was there, when we arrested them, in less than 10 minutes, opinion leaders from the community had come pleading that they be allowed to go. I have brought this up because the question is, those opinion leaders, do they know the harms they are committing and the harms that is happening to our environment? Have we engaged them to appreciate, to buy into our plan, to say, this is what we want to do because of these challenges? And you also find out from the community, look, in Mpoho at a time when they started the Adum small-scale mining, the whole community came together. First, the mining firm decided to give jobs to these people because they realized that the community didn't have a lot of jobs and the youth were complaining. When they came together, anybody who was doing something wrong, because the community now had a small-scale mining group where all of them were mining and they were employed, and some had also been employed by the company, they no longer illegally went for the concession of the mining company. There was a buy-in. What we didn't do is to go out there and believe that we're going into a war which only had a bit of enforcement. It also, while enforcement is key, it also had a psychological aspect of it. And the psychological aspect of the war is that many of these persons who are engaged in illegal mining control communities where they operate. Look, they control the local economy, and they actually dictate in many instances to even the DCEs and the members of parliament. If they tell you do this and you don't do this, what they do is that they will throw a candidate against you, sponsor the candidate, and you get to lose. These young ones who were engaged in the illegal mining, they did so because many of them did not understand. Yes, people are greedy, but I tell you what, if you help people to understand the reason why you're embarking on projects, in many of the instances, people buy in. And I'll end on this note. When there was all this fight about this secessionist, and I always use the Selom from Hohwe, after I had joined you, and we had spoken about this whole plebiscite of 1956 and those who took part in it, those who didn't take part in it, and even the things that they voted on. Selom said, but we did not know this. If we knew this, our actions would have been different. So what we need is more education. Look, let us begin to take it from the bottom. We've written a lot of these things in our books, but I tell you what, if we get to the people and let them proffer their own solutions on how to fight it, together with our solutions also on how to fight it, all of us can win. And having said that, I agree with Ken. For all those who took part in this fight, and in one way or the other, they have shown that they have not been able to succeed. It is time for them to step aside. The president's approach tells you something. He tells you that he has realized that he's not been successful in the war against illegal mining. And having been unsuccessful in the war against illegal mining, the new approach is not to do the same things and expect different results. The new approach is to get all of us to say, this is how we want to go about it. Right. Now, if we all agree that we want to go about it this way, then if you go against it, you have no justification to say, I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, the president says there is a need for a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, who is he wanting to have that conversation with? I submit that it's you, the people of Ghana. So let's get started. When we come back from this break, we want to hear from you on how we battle this menace. I mean, look, whichever way you look at it, it's a problem that affects us. I don't want to be in a country that imports water. Do you? Let's talk about it when we return.
Hope you have heard. Rent to own now in Ghana. The Plan City Extension Project Rent to Own Land and House Ownership Scheme by the Ningo Prampram District Assembly and its partners, supported by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and the UN Habitat, are right here in Ghana. So be smart though, because where you trade and live really matters. Apply now and own a home or a fully serviced land. Wait a minute too. Don't forget to join our affiliate housing cooperatives also. Special offers last until 31st March 2021. Call us on 055 55 3300 or 0577 911101 and 055 7054 635. Website newaccra.city. Plan City Extension Project, shaping Ghana's urban future.
Na lamte busianye last week oh. Nanso this week omo busianye. Edie na asesa. As Lamte here say Go TV Max drop in price from 70 Ghana cedis to 60 Ghana cedis month. Bia pe, they didn't delay kra. Omo ko upgrading one time. CCA ye the sports, entertainment, kids shows, and niyama bebre abre Lamte busiamo omania jabroso. Be like the Lamte family. Upgrade ko Go TV Max CCA. Tier 60 Ghana cedis. Na enjoy maximum entertainment for less. Cafe Dokra. Use the Go TV app no for connect to Go TV Max so. And I could pay by the point agent to be in your area for maximum entertainment. Offer valid from 14th January to 31st March 2021. T's and C's apply. Go TV. Love it.
What would you do if you have the choice to do anything in life? Build your dream house, take very good care of your family, and plan for a comfortable retirement. Plan a befitting funeral for your loved ones when they depart. How would you live if you knew there was a friend waiting to support you on all of your life's choices?
You have such a friend in Glyco Life Insurance. Glyco Life has all the plans to meet your life's needs: your child's education, your life savings, your mortgage, funerals, redundancy, and your retirement, and takes the burden off your shoulders. So go ahead and live life to the fullest today with Glyco Life Insurance plans. And remember that all our policies are hedged against inflation. Talk to Glyco Life on 0302 218 500 or 246 142. Also visit our website at www.glycolife.com or any of our branches nationwide for more information.
Glycolife, we cushion you for life.
Glyco, we cushion you for life.
Charlie, so it's actually raining and we can't hear any sound. As for this, your house, when it's raining, no sound. When the sun is up, the interior is cool. What roof are you using?
They use Ico roofing shingles from Interface Limited. Long lasting and beautiful.
Ico roofing shingles. We all for move to Interface and get this Ico roofing shingles.
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274 999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook Interface Limited GH. Instagram Interface.limited.
Bibiara wa melkom Luciano le melkom Nofiano ye melkom. What are you looking for? Melkom got it all. Great discount, dodo. Yamafia so. Best bargains on our days. Everything here is a bargain. High quality, goods be a priority. So tell your mom, tell Poppy, tell your actually everybody.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. You know buff, you know chop. Where it vanish for your area for 2 weeks. You not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Hajia, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor gets water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank gets meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank. By Duraplast.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Life is more fleeting than we could ever realize. So live and refuse to be let down. Why let life beat you up when it's all going to fade away anyway? Celebrate life. Celebrate your loved ones. Protect your family when the worst happens by signing up for Old Mutual Black and White Family Plan on WhatsApp. It's safe, it's easy, convenient, and absolutely paperless. Just say hi to Old Mutual on WhatsApp number 0242 426 455. To begin, sign up with as low as 18 Ghana cedis. Enjoy 10% cashback every 3 years with no premium payment after 15 years. Old Mutual, 175 years of doing great things.
Na lamte busianye last week oh. Now so this week omo busianye. Dear Nasisa, as Lamte here say Go TV Max drop in price from 70 Ghana cedis to 60 Ghana cedis month. They didn't delay cra. Omoko upgrading one time. CCA dear, yeah the sports, entertainment, kids shows, and then Yama Bebre, Abre Lamte Busiamo Monia Jabroso. Be like the Lamte family. Upgrade the Go TV Max CCA. Tier 60 Ghana cedis. Now enjoy maximum entertainment for less. Cafe Dokra. You see Go TV app no for connect to Go TV Max so and I could pay by the point agent to be in your area for maximum entertainment. Offer valid from 14th January to 31st March 2021. T's and C's apply. Go TV. Love it.
We need to stop illegal mining.
Coffee in your cup. Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Right, you're welcome back. It's the Super Morning Show, and in a moment, we're hearing your voice on this fight against Galamsey. Start off the year, though, by stepping up with DSTV. From now until the 31st of March, you just upgrade your current DSTV package to the next one, and DSTV will bump you up to the one above at no extra cost either. It's rather simple. So, let's say you have access, just pay for family, and DSTV will give you compact. No extra cost. Follow them with the hashtag DSTV Step Up for more, or call 0302 740 540. Big thanks to Glyco Critical Illness Plan GSIP. It's in your best interest to survive. They bring us your text messages on the Super Morning Show, and we're about to read a bunch of them pretty soon, aren't we, Winston? First, though, self-quarantine if sick. Call your doctor if you have any symptoms. Stay home until you recover. Avoid sitting, sleeping, or eating with your loved ones, even if you live in the same home. Wear a mask and wash your hands as much as possible. And if you need urgent medical care, wear a mask and let the healthcare workers know that you may have COVID-19. Thank you very much. Okay, so you know the numbers. 0302 216 541. That's 0302 216 541. We'd love to hear from you on this fight against Galamsey and what indeed the solution ought to be.
Something they worry with, you know I gotta say it. I saw my wife, but no one just started all off, I could try to explain. Yeah, what small scale, no, no, yeah, what large scale. Illegal mining, only you gotta say. But if you ask me, they all in the same. Guilty polluters of Ghana's water bodies. You see the river proud, looking very sorry. I worry, heard the other day, if we keep on this way, we're gonna be importing water by the year 2020. Now that's a failed state, and I'm a boy asking Kruma, he's turning in his grave. The time is serious, this thing for stop, my brothers and sisters. Munjai Galamsey, Munjai Galamsey.
Munjai Galamsey. Shem is on the line. Good morning, Shem.
Good morning, Kojo.
Thanks for calling, bro.
Thanks for having me. Happy New Year as well.
Same to you.
Kojo, you see, we are in a country where we know the solution to the problems, but yet we pretend as if we don't know. What has happened to mining communities? We started mining way back. We started learning such towns in school, Obuase and companies. Other countries, when you have a mining community within the country, you're able to see developmental projects. Take Obuase for example. You don't see any developmental project in their town, but yet we have given such places to international mining companies, and this is what they do. So I am saying that the problem is from the top. They have the keys to our resources, yet they don't do anything. Now, the people who live in the communities have seen that, I'm sitting on gold, why not go mine this gold? And your resultant effect is you are destroying the water, and water is life. So the next time we decide to tackle this issue, soldiers and any person need to shoot to kill. When you know your life is on the line, to destroy your children's line of not having water to drink, I believe the political people at play will not be able to send anybody anymore, because I know that if I go, I'm going to die.
Shem, thank you. Thank you for your suggestion. All right, Emmanuel is at Lekma. Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning, Kojo.
My brother, what's on your mind?
So two things. The Galamsey. Listen, I have guys who are in the military who, used to be on the Operation Vanguard. And he tells me that, some of them tell me that, look, when we are going to an illegal pit, you will just hear a call from a commander and say, listen, don't go there, go to the other place. Which means that calls from above will tell you where to go. So, you see, it's a systemic failure. And coming to the nose mask issue, last time I was watching TV, your reporters were there, and then they arrested these guys from Accra, and they put them in one small room without the mask. What are we preventing? You leave the people without a mask, all in the name of enforcing the law. So are you spreading it rather, or what? Because eventually those people were let to go. So listen, it looks like the brain radar is on the streets. Let's not sit in our offices and then be propounding certain things and then it will be affecting the ordinary Ghanaians. Look at the demography. How many Kayayis have died out of the COVID-19? The people who are dying are the ones sitting in their offices enjoying air conditions and all that.
Well, they are the ones we know about. Thank you for the point. Let's hear from Ham, who is in Achimota. We've heard from Shem, now Ham. Good morning, Ham.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, my brother.
I like that. You said you've heard from Shem. Now this is Ham.
Indeed.
Now, Kojo, I beg you, I'm not going to talk nonsense. Don't catch me. I'm going to be realistic. The two names, Shem and Ham, very beautifully describes why we have this Galamsey problem. The problem is in the mind of Ham. Ham, the black man, has been made by Shem and his people and deceived that he is a nobody. And that Shem and Japan, who is Chinese and European and Indian and Arab, everybody, are important than him. This is the problem of Ham. So he allows Shem and Japan to come and dig around, spoil around everything, while Ham is hating his own Ham. We, up to the top of us, are all Ham with sick minds and dirty hearts. This is where the problem is. Otherwise, go to India, China, everywhere. As a black person, I've been there all, they throw stones at you. While they will come there, you give them total gold mine, diamond, everything, you can go away. Black people, we are brain dead. That is our problem.
Wow. Well, that's philosophical. Kay is at airport. Kay, good morning.
Hello. Good
Thanks
morning.
for calling.
Great. I hope you guys are well.
Yes, we're managing.
Okay. So Galamsey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kojo, I don't think we lack ideas or the solutions. Our problems have always been the same. The lack of people with integrity to see through the solution. It's as simple as that. You put people there, they go and take bribes. You put people there, they go and give concessions to their own people. You put people there, they go and enrich themselves. You put people there and all manner of things happen. So if there's a solution we are looking for, it's not the actual process to stop the Galamsey itself, if you get what I mean. It's not what you do on the ground. It's who you appoint to do that, and that person will make sure it's done. So if we really want to get it done, maybe I would dare say between the two parties, because it becomes a political football, between the two parties and, let's say, parliament, they should, from both sides, nominate two people from their parties who they believe have integrity to together form a task force supported by government, and the work will get done.
Interesting suggestion. Thank you, Kay. All right, Churchill, what's Twitter saying?
Well, so at Marik Gan, Marik Gan vying to be president independently until something happened. Well, and he was disqualified. Says the bottom line to it all is that Galamsey in Ghana is politically motivated. Those with the power to curb, control, or regulate it are the very people running it. Simpliciter. Don't expect much to change. It's a funding source for politics in Ghana. And at No More Tears 9 says, kindly value your life. Journalism at these Galamsey sites where security forces clash is more of a war zone. Now, this should be the work of the UN and not journalists. Please value your life. The president himself is afraid to talk about it. At Runs, Tetterson says, fighting against illegal mining in this country is becoming alarming. Is the government failing us, or our chiefs in our communities too failing, or the military are just taking advantage of this? Who's watching over the watchman when the community is asleep?
Ken, you've been fighting this thing for years. You deserve the last word on it.
Well, Kojo, so we cannot give up. I think that's the thing about it. So as media, we need to re-strategize. We need to take the president on his offer that we need to have a conversation. I like some of the ideas that came that we need to definitely get the politicians involved. But it is more than just the politicians. The fact that the politicians have been elected does not mean that that's all the gray matter that we have in this country. Let's get the professionals to also get involved in this. Let's look for solutions that put Ghana first, that put the indigenous people at the ground first. Let's apply science to the way this thing is going to be done. But critically in all of that is what one person said, the integrity that is required. Leadership is integrity. Fearless leadership is going to be important. But then let's also not say that it's a war zone to go after it. We definitely have to fight them. Together as Ghanaians, we are more than the people who want the wrong to be perpetuated.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for joining us, Ken Ashigbe. And of course, thanks to all of you for listening. Very quickly before we go, a happy birthday to Thelma Yankson, also known as Abena Koko of Industrial Area Branch of GRA. Thank you all for listening. We're back tomorrow with more. Right now it's 10 o'clock, and here are the headlines with Manuel. Why am I? There you are, Manuel.
Great. Coming up in the headline news at 10, doctors treating COVID-19 patients worried about severity of COVID-19 cases as the country